Hello and welcome to AutoSave. My name is Nick Andrade and I'm here with my co-host, as always, Camille Salazar Hadaway. And today we are ending our journey through God of War, Ragnarok. It is the final episode, and Cam, I am sad because this game has been amazing.
It has been an amazing episode, almost as amazing as we are ending. Was that British accent you were trying to do? I don't know. It was like Old English. It sounded really cool. I thought you were going to do the whole intro like that, and then you just stopped. You left me hanging, and I hope this game doesn't leave me hanging as well.
Yeah, I mean, it might. It might leave us in the feels. It might leave us sad. I don't know exactly what's going to happen here at the end because there's a lot to digest. But on last week's episode, it was the main story's finale.
I swore I would never rob from you the choice between life and death.
I have waited so long for this moment. And now that I'm here, I don't need this to make me whole.
We stopped his madness. That's all that matters. That's what comes next.
So Ragnarok began. Odin betrayed Thor and killed him. Ugh. We defeated Odin. Atreus removed his soul into a marble, and Sindri crushed it without anyone's permission. Freyr sacrificed himself to stop the Ragnarok monster that was Surtur, and Atreus decided to go off on his own path without Kratos. And Kratos was left to figure out what to do next with Mimir and Freya by his side. And that is where we start this episode as we dive into our Chapter 18, Beyond Ragnarok, and try to tie up all the loose ends from the game because there's a lot. There's a lot of secret endings in this game that we want to talk about today. But, Cam, we had a lot of time to breathe. We got a week after we finished this game. You got some sleeps to sleep on it. How do you feel now, 1 week later after that major finale?
I have questions.
Of course.
I wonder, I don't know, I just feel like as a god to be just like killed in a marble.
Right?
Is he really dead? I don't trust it.
No, stop it. If the marble was intact, then I thought, okay, then we have ourselves a sequel. But Sindri was like, no, I'm going to do my own thing.
But then what does all of Asgard do without an Allfather? Actually, Asgard's murked, but
Yeah.
but what does all of Norse, all the realms, what do they do without the Allfather? I mean, survive. Yeah, I guess good riddance. Too bad, Odin.
Sorry, Odin, but if there is a sequel and you want to bring Odin back, like I don't think we'll be upset about that because he was a great character. But Atreus, I mean, goes off on his own. Is there going to be a game with Atreus as the main character? Or is Kratos going to go to some foreign land that we haven't seen before? Or is his story wrapped up? Because it feels like it's his story is wrapped up.
I mean, I feel like it wrapped up quite well, but then I'm just like, what's next? What's next? There must be more.
Because guess what? It's all about the money, baby. And Kratos brings in the cash. Okay, so Sony is not going to stop this anytime soon.
My goodness. Of course you would say that.
So last week's episode, we found out that Faye had destroyed all the prophecy drawings, I guess, to show that Kratos and Atreus wanted to pave their own path. She wanted them to pave their own path. So Kratos, we saw at the end, he is no longer a destroyer of worlds. He is now worshipped. He is now a rebuilder. From what we saw in the prophecies. So that was where my question of the day comes from, Cam. Would you rather be... I actually have two parts of the question. Okay. One is, would you rather be known as a destroyer of worlds or a rebuilder? I'm going to guess your answer, since you always make fun of all those godly animals that I want to kill people with. You're probably more just than that.
Yeah, I definitely would be the rebuilder. Or the rebuilder or the restorer. But yeah, I would definitely be the person that would try to help out the realms. But I'm
Yes.
guessing based on your guess of my answer, you would be the destroyer because of all those crazy killing creatures that you like to brainstorm.
You know me, I like being the good guy.
That is true, but I feel like Nick has like a little dark origin story that we're just exploring. Give us like 3 more series of autosave and he would turn full villain.
No, you think I'd turn villain?
I
think
mean,
I'd turn into Batman.
There's okay.
Oh, most.
See, that maybe that's your villain origin story. You realize you can't turn into Batman, and then you turn into a Batman villain instead.
Plus, I'm a shorter guy. I'm bald. Like, I have all the tropes of being a villain. Let's be real. I'm no Henry Cavill here, okay? So maybe that's where I'm just going to be Lex Luthor, basically.
Yeah, pretty much.
Second part of the question. What would be your god nickname? Okay? Or, sorry, I'm going to ask you for my nickname, and I've gotten some for you.
Oh, you do?
Yes. So we have Cam the Kind, because you are a very kind person and you'd be a kind god.
That is so sweet. Sweet start.
But you could also be Cam the Conqueror, because
I like that.
I think of Kang the Conqueror, it kind of goes hand in hand. I like the k sound. Together. And then obviously you could be the god of Cam. What up, Patreon peeps? It's your girl.
I like that one
as well. Because imagine like just, your peasant army saying, Cam, what's up, Patreon peeps? It's your girl, Cam. We love you. And then finally is Cam the Impressionist of Not Goodness, as we heard at the beginning of this episode, you trying to do the British accent, and I don't even know what you were trying to go for. Let's be real. Your accents are bad. All right.
I like to think I'm better at impressions than you think I am.
I mean, you try. I mean, that's the most important thing, right? You try. So it's getting better.
Okay.
It's not like you give up.
Well, I don't give up, and I did not give up on this task, although it's very hard to kind of think of names on the spot. So let me go through my names for you. So you started off nice. I'm going to start off nice too. Nick the Nice.
Ooh, that's a good one. That's a good one. Thank you. Nick
the Noble.
Oh, hell yeah.
Nick the Nasally.
Yes, I am very nasally. Yeah, I hate my voice.
No, I think it's just like we've recorded quite a few autosave episodes with not sickness, but allergies that cause you to be very nasally. Nameless Nick. I don't know why. I think that would just be so cool. Oh, that's Nameless Nick. It seems like something that the old world would say.
Sounds mysterious.
But it doesn't make sense, right? Like they have these names sometimes that make no sense. How can you be Nameless and Nick? But make people think, right?
Yours are way better so far.
Nick, it's all about the money, baby. I just thought of that one. And you have to do the actions of like shuffling money. Nick the Nostalgic.
Ooh,
I think that's
these are incredible.
Very much you.
Yeah.
Nick needs no introduction.
Wow. Bravo.
And then this one I just threw in here. It doesn't make sense. But Nick, not Nelly Furtado or Country Grammar Nelly. I don't know. It just came to my mind. That one was really
both great. And Nelly Furtado's Portuguese. So
there you go. There you go.
I think my favorite is Nick. Wait, what was the one about money?
Nick, it's all about the money, baby.
Yes. Yeah. So that one, I would basically be the king of like, everyone would hate me because I'd be the one going around getting the taxes from everybody. Like, pay your share.
Yeah, you're just...
And it's like, Sir Nicholas, we can't afford it. Pay it. Or else you go to the guillotine.
Yeah, you'd pretty much be like, if this was Norse mythology, you would be like the second Heimdall. Right? You would be like that second person next to Odin.
Bingo.
Who's just really annoying and everyone wants to punch in the face.
Exactly.
I don't know if you want to go for that, but hey, to each their own.
If you listen to this show and you want to punch me in the face, just let me know. Okay? Nick the Nasally At your service. Anyway, this is the last question of the day for God of War. We talked a lot about God questions. Okay, so I was running out of ideas. So if you didn't like it, too bad. But guess what? After the break, we're going to get into the meat and potatoes of this. The secret endings that we have all been yearning for. After the break, it's Beyond Ragnarok. So, Cam, there is a prison in Niflheim that you can only access after the game ends. Once you go to the Tears of the Raven, on the left side, there is actually a, stone bridge that wasn't there before that you can go to. And what we see is a prison. Now, there's also all these realm doors that you can access if you haven't accessed before. So if you missed a few, I don't know about you, but I think I had like 2 or 3 that I never got. Mm-hmm. After the game, you can actually unlock these.
The ravens were really annoying, by the way, just saying.
Like getting all the ravens or just...
Yeah,
did you get up all the ravens?
No.
No. Okay. Well, I got all the ravens and I got all the Raven tier gears. Gear, great. Which is...
Great.
Oh, yeah. Well, you know what? You don't have to be jealous of me. Sometimes you can just do the rest of the side missions.
Nick the Gloater?
Yes. Anyway, great note to end on there. Odin, I guess, had a prison. All right. And guess what? There's a bunch of Einherjar here that we have to fight. And Freya says, your master is no more. But that does not matter because we have to fight them. She also suggests that if the Einherjar survived, maybe there are some prisoners here where we have to check out. Let's see if there are any prisoners in this building. So we have to go through a few sections of gates using some chains and the Dropnir spear to go down level after level, fighting some Einherjar as you go, and also collecting some sweet items on the way while rescuing some prisoners as well. Some of them don't like it. We have to fight this elf who's captured. And it's like, come on, we're trying to free you here.
We're here to help.
Exactly. You've been a prisoner of Odin for how many, lifetimes? We'll help you out, but it's okay. But as you go further down and take down all the enemies along the way, you unlock one final prison door.
Freya, I can't believe it.
Wait, that can't be. Lord Tyr.
Is this an illusion?
No, brother. No, I think it's the real deal. Mimir? Is that you, old friend?
In all the important ways, aye.
There was such a commotion. If Odin learns what you've done...
Odin is dead.
The realms are at last free of him. You're safe.
Odin's dead.
And Asgard fallen.
So the reign of the Aesir is truly over. That's quite a lot to take in. And you are?
His name is Kratos.
Kratos? I know that name.
Come. You need real shelter. Food.
No. No, what I need most now, I think, is to reflect on what you've told me. I need space, if you would grant me that.
Very well. Our home is in the realm between realms for the moment. You can find us there when you're ready.
Kratos. I know you from somewhere. I'm sure it will come back to me.
Until then.
Whoa!
Finally!
Tyr is actually alive. Can you believe it? He was kept prisoner this whole time, and it looks like he needed to be kept alive by Odin in order for us to be duped by him. But I expected him to kind of show up in the last battle because I didn't think he was dead. I really didn't think he was dead, and this so proves it. Regardless of him not being in the final battle, it does feel good to know that he actually wasn't dead.
Yeah, and this was the thing that really got me a little bit like wanting more with the ending. This is one of those things. I wanted to know what happened to Tyr because of that reveal with Odin duping us. I thought maybe he would have dead. I didn't think he would have been alive because we didn't see him in that final battle. But yeah, here is Tyr, and apparently he sounds exactly like Odin, but he like acts exactly like Odin as Tyr.
Wait.
It's
Well, yeah.
like it's very confusing because I thought maybe like, you know how he was very like calm, like no elements of the god of war past. I was like, oh, after the reveal, I'm like, oh, maybe like that was Odin putting up the act. Like I'm hoping if Tyr's alive, we're getting like this badass god of war, what everyone talks about. Even though he was so helpful to all the people around him, he was a god of war, right? And we just got the regular passive Tyr.
Well, we don't know him for sure yet, right? So it could be like, I don't expect him to be a god of war because what we've heard from him, regardless of who we met as Odin, I think maybe Odin's like just taking all the passive parts of Tyr and making it super,
like amping it up.
yes, amping it up. But we don't know exactly, but I think he still is a pacifist, but I think he's maybe more aware. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see if we get to find out more about him. But he also says that he's heard the name of Kratos before and seems to know Kratos somehow. And he asks about him and he's like, Kratos, I've heard it before. So my question to you is, do you think he knows him as the ghost of Sparta? He reached Tyr's ears as destroying all of Athens? Or do you think that there's some sort of time travel element here? Because that's where I'm leaning towards.
Really?
That maybe, like with Jormungandr, that Tyr knows Kratos because of some sort of time travel. What do you think?
Oh, I was not thinking that at all. I was thinking the fact that when Kratos first arrived in Midgard, the gods were already like, who's this guy? And he is the ghost of Sparta, right? So that's where I think Tyr knows him.
Okay, so you just think it's from the stories.
Yes, I think it's from the stories. And that's why, like, you know, when people tell you stories in passing, like if someone were to tell you a few years down the road, oh, it's this person, you'd be like, oh, I heard that somewhere. Whereas, like, I feel like traveling is a huge thing, like in time, that he would surely remember this Kratos that he saw or heard of when he traveled to the past.
I would have loved for it to be some sort of time travel thing, though.
You're always
Maybe.
trying to get the time traveling, Nick.
I'm just saying.
Always with the time
It
travel.
could be interesting. We need to give Tyr some time. That's what he asks for, so we give it to him. There's not much loose ends to tie up here at all, but the trio talk about it as they leave.
Well, now we know what this prison's for. This is where Odin stashed those he would camouflage himself as.
Makes sense. If you're going to imitate someone, you wouldn't want them walking around.
Why not kill them?
He must need them alive in order to assume their form.
Aye. Odin likely wanted Tyr dead for a multitude of reasons, but he knew Tyr would be more useful alive.
Your god of war has truly returned. What now?
He'll want to stretch his legs, I imagine. Imprisonment stokes wanderlust. Not that I need to remind any of us of that.
So Amir explains that in order for Odin to take the form of someone, he needed them to be alive, kind of what we discussed before the clip. It's almost like a polyjuice potion, I guess, where you need someone's hair to turn into them or something like that, or their mannerisms or whatever it is. But it looks like Odin's magic, whatever it did, needed to keep Tyr alive. After that, if you travel through each realm, you can actually meet him in different places and kind of get a sense of what he's thinking and maybe get to know a little bit more about Tyr, which I was interested in. So I went across the realms and I wanted to see what Tyr was up to. So I went to each one, and this is what we get. In Midgard, he tells us he would like to be left alone. So clearly he's not
He's like, didn't
ready.
you hear me?
Yes.
Didn't you hear me? I just said I want to be left alone.
Exactly.
Why are you following?
So don't learn anything from Tyr in Midgard. At the Spark of the World, where Surtur turned into Ragnarok, he asks what happened to Surtur. Tyr tells us that he always felt sad for Surtur and Sinmara. I'm not sure why. Also says that he had met Sinmara in Niflheim and says that she has been weeping and she will be weeping for a long time. It can be heard across the realm. So that's kind of sad. In Alfheim, he asks us how Freyr forged peace between the elves and then says he will pay respects to him in his own way. In Svartalheim, Tyr asks about how we freed the whale Lingbacker. It's a quest that you could do anytime in the game, where a whale was chained for thousands of years thanks to Mimir. He was particularly adamant, Mimir, to fix the situation, which we did. And then obviously Tyr wonders about this whale, but also gives Mimir some advice and says, even though the whale couldn't or wouldn't want to escape fully, he appreciated what they did for him. And I guess that maybe resonates with Mimir a little bit because he's just a talking head. But in Vanaheim, Tyr feels guilty that he wasn't there to help much and that he was stuck in prison. But he also makes sure to tell Freya how strong she is, how much she helped this place, as in Vanaheim. So we're getting a little sense of who the real Tyr is through these cutscenes. Yeah. What stands out to you, the actual Tyr versus the Odin version of Tyr? What stands out?
The fact that the actual Tyr is still doing yoga. What the heck?
Yeah.
This is what I'm talking about. He's still very passive, but you notice like he would have fought.
Yes.
And you're right. Like he's not as passive, but he's kind of annoyingly passive with his yoga and wanting to be alone and everything like that. Where I wanted him to be like, oh, I'm going to like go and help the people and like the warrior Tyr.
Right.
Also, interesting fact, what should have really told us Tyr was not Tyr. Tyr, if you notice, when we meet the real Tyr, he has like an accent, a mark over the R. I think it's the R or the Y, sorry. Whereas when Odin is Tyr, he does not.
Really?
There's deception there. I learned that one.
Didn't even notice that at all. That's a cool little tidbit.
Yeah. It's like, how did we not see this coming?
Yeah.
I think I'm really interested to learn more about the real Tyr. I kind of want like a DLC or even like if it's a DLC to like past battles, even seeing him fight along Faye would have been like, I want to see these either in flashbacks or want to experience it in some sort of DLC. But saying that, I will add that I was at PAX and I sat in on a panel with the person who voices or mocaps acts as Tyr. And pretty much he was saying how this is not the last that we've seen of Tyr. Apparently, there's discussions happening behind the scenes that Tyr may make a return.
Ooh. So maybe is that why you're thinking that there is DLC?
I feel like how they left the game, there may be DLC, like even how they left these secret endings. There's a lot that you can discover, and I feel like they're setting it up to kind of explore these. I don't know if it's as we play as these characters. Like, I don't know if we'll be playing as Kratos. They already explored playing as other characters, but I feel like there's something there.
I would love to see actually a DLC with Atreus and Tyr going on an adventure together to find the giants. Would that be cool?
That'd be really cool.
Yeah.
Or if it's an Atreus DLC, like I feel like that would be really cool to see all these other characters. And he is kind of that common connection.
Yes.
If we see these other characters in these secret endings make an appearance. I think I unlocked the secret of PlayStation marketing.
There you go.
Sony Santa Monica marketing.
This is why you're in video games, Cam. You know
Yeah.
what's good. You know what's up. It's good they added this part of the game. It for me, it adds a kind of a loose end to the story of Tyr. But after that, we get another loose end that we can figure out. And that is another cool secret ending if you travel back to Alfheim and into the desert.
Wait a bloody moment. Is that?
Thor's hammer and his daughter.
I'll make you proud, Dad.
Well, good for her.
So a quick one, but we see Thrud with Mjolnir, and she wields it flying away. Super badass, in my opinion. She has the hammer now. I would love to see some sort of DLC again, or a game exploring Thrud with Mjolnir, trying to be a Valkyrie maybe.
Mhm.
But What did you think of this specific cutscene? Because I honestly didn't expect it, and I was like applauding. I'm like, that's badass.
I mean, yeah, I didn't expect them to actually show it. Like I said in the last episode, I think that's what it was hinting at, that she had to go do something. She had to get Mjolnir. It's interesting because even though this is a very quick scene and she looks super badass, the fact that she like flies up and like everything around her just kind of breaks just shows firstly how powerful. Like this is still a kid, right? This is Thor's kid. But also how she's dealing with grief, right? Like we saw grief dealt with different characters throughout the main storyline. Mm-hmm. And we see it being dealt with in a different way with Thrud. So again, I want to see more of her story because I think it would be really cool to see her try to make her father proud, as she says.
Do you think that she could be the next God of War? Because that's my thought.
I don't think she'll be the next God of War. I think she will be Lady Thor.
Lady Thor, okay. That makes sense. But I would also like to see her the God of War. Next up, we also find Civ working with Hildisvini on rebuilding the realms, which is pretty cool. They're doing that in Vanaheim. And then also, as I talked about with the realm doors, there is a new realm door in which, Atreus used that Kratos can now go with Freya and Mimir to Ironwood.
Company's here, Finn.
Angerboda.
Kratos, Mimir, Freya. It's good to see you.
I wish to thank you for creating a path out of Asgard for us.
Aye, a true pleasure to meet the lassie who saved our skins.
Indeed. Your giant stuff magic is truly a marvel.
We were so glad we got there in time. Freya, your brother's sacrifice won't be forgotten.
It won't.
I will say, you've made quite the impression on our Atreus' heart.
Mimir.
Oh, like you weren't thinking it, brother.
Ahem. You're a cherished ally, Angerboda. I hope we cross paths again.
I imagine we will. There's lots to do, and I'm just getting started.
So, I guess it's confirmed. The confirmed shipping of Atreus and Angerboda. Obviously, Kratos thinks that Atreus has a little wee crush on Angerboda, and that's something we've been thinking about this entire time.
Yeah, I was so happy to see this one. And then you also see like Kratos like says he draws. Like he's like discovering Atreus in another light as well, which is just really cute to see. You're pretty much seeing this little life that they've built together in like their past experience, and then it just gives you a glimpse of like what that future could look like. It was really cute moment.
She also talks to Kratos about Faye, and there's kind of like a discussion about her being the only giant, Angerboda that is, but she mentions to Kratos that her grandmother Gryla is still around, and apparently like picking berries or something. I forget what she was doing, but does it sound that they made up, or was she lying to Kratos about making up with Gryla? Because that's what I was confused about. I watched it a couple times and I was like,
I feel like because this is like such a little happy ending, I didn't want to think that she was lying.
Yeah.
To Kratos?
That's what I assume anyway.
Why did you assume that like right away?
That's just my thought, because we didn't get a loose end tied with that at all. And then she just mentioned it out of the blue. Is that maybe her story arc that happened after Atreus left, that she tried to mend things back with her grandmother? Like, that's the only thing I can think about. But the last time we saw Gryla, she's like, I'm going to murder you the next time I see you.
Yeah, and it was very like traumatic ending.
Yes.
Huh. I never thought about it that way.
Yeah.
But why would she, like, my thing is like she says like her grandmother's helping her forge or something like that. Why would she, like, if you're gonna lie, wouldn't you just say, yeah, she's picking berries somewhere, we made up, that's it, that's a lie? But then she says like Gryla is helping her forge, so that's why I didn't believe, like, she went more specific on it. That's why I didn't think it was a lie.
Fair. I mean, we don't have the answer.
Like, why would she be helping you? Like, why don't you just say, oh, she's off?
Maybe you have an elaborate lie. I don't know.
It's an elaborate lie.
I just want to know what happens between them, because Gryla was very upset the last time we saw her.
The cool thing too is to see that Fenrir is here.
Yeah.
So it's like, yes, that we know that Fenrir and Normangander are like the two monster kids, or of the three monster kids of Atreus and Angrboda. So it's just cute that you see Fenrir here too, and chillin'. Fenrir is loving Ironwood, which is an upgrade from Midgard, to tell you the truth.
Well, I thought that Fenrir would be with Atreus. So I was like, oh, okay, he's with Angrboda. But I, for some reason, assumed that he'd be adventuring with Atreus.
That's true. But I guess like he's pretty giant, and Atreus flies and everything like that. Why would he need...
Wait, Atreus flies?
Well, I mean, he could turn into like any animal.
Or does he have the boat? Who has the boat still?
Oh, maybe it's the boat. Maybe it's the boat.
I don't know.
We need to know. Where's Atreus?
That's why DLC. Come on.
Yeah.
Santa Monica. Step your game up.
Because it's all about the money, baby.
Exactly. Another loop you can close is what happens to Charlie. You can go back to Midgard, and Freya talks to him, and she feels horrible and guilty about leaving him behind, which rightfully she should, because you can't just leave your turtle alone in the snow left to die. But she does her best to get Charlie a companion. And guess what? We see Birgir again, my buddy who you loved so much, and I thought shouldn't have had some sort of, I thought it was a cop-out that he sacrificed himself. And he did, and he survived. So again, another character lived in this game. This is really like ending Lord of the Rings where everyone survives.
Everyone survives, even Birgir. I feel like I was just really happy to see him again. I think Charlie and him having a happy ending. I like that Freya recognizes that she's probably not the best companion for Charlie. I mean, she's gone half of the time. It's like there's people that get pets that really shouldn't have pets. Freya is one of them. So I like that she kind of helps Charlie move on without her, because that was messed up. And that was like immediately we're like, this poor turtle house is gonna die.
It's only because she was stuck in Midgard. The moment she wasn't stuck in Midgard or trying to kill us because of Baldur, she left Charlie in the dust.
Yeah, even when she turned over a new leaf, she didn't even remember about Charlie.
Sad. But we remember.
Horrible.
We
do not give Freya any pets for any of her birthdays or holidays.
Well, she's going to be tagging along with Kratos for a while, so
yeah,
they're going to end up making babies probably.
No, don't say that. I don't think so.
Speaking of babies, Kratos and Mimir have a little cutscene at Sindri's house where Kratos funnily asks Mimir if he taught him about romance, if he taught Atreus about romance because of everything that happened with Angrboda. I thought that was a funny little scene because I always love to see Kratos outside of his element, where he still is a human or he still is a person, but he doesn't know how to talk about these kind of feelings.
Yeah, I just like how he kind of pawns this off too. I hope you taught, like, it's your duty to teach the boy. Like, he doesn't want to have that awkward discussion. That's why he's asking Mimir if he set him up properly for success with Angrboda. It's so good. It's such a Kratos thing to do as well. Kratos would never have that conversation. He would more talk about his relationship with Faye, hoping Atreus takes things away from that, but never actually directly guiding Atreus.
It's like that old immigrant father mentality where they're afraid to talk about anything like that with their children. But Cam, the biggest secret ending of all, what I would say is probably the actual ending of the game, the true ending of the game. You have to travel to Svartalheim and meet up with Durlin, who is with Lunda, and that other dwarf guy that I forget who plays the music with his instrument thing. That's pretty cool. But they have Brok's actual body. It's laying on the table, and they tell us to head to Sverd Sands for Brok's funeral. And once we get there,
I love you, Brok. Sindri, Brok was gets bigger the more you take away.
So a very emotional scene here. This is actually where the end credits come and then the screen goes black.
Yeah.
So this is the finale, and it's a very emotional one as Sindri comes in with a torch. Freya lights an arrow, looses it on the floating boat with Brok's body, the funeral pyre, as we've seen maybe in Game of Thrones or something like that, something similar. And Kratos here at the end, what we hear is tries to comfort Sindri, but he is still not having any of that. He walks away from us still angrily, which is sad and frustrating. But Cam, Mimir says something here at the end. Did you know what he meant by it? Because I didn't at the time. I had to look it up.
Is it like hinting to Sindri's dark arc?
Yeah, maybe that's the DLC where Sindri's trying to kill Atreus, just like Freya did with Kratos. But no, it's actually a riddle that Brok asked them while they were in Svartalheim going after the Draupnir spear. He asked, what gets bigger the more you take away? And Mimir didn't know. And then right at the end here, when he sees Sindri and how much pain he's in, realizes that the answer was a hole. A hole grows bigger the more you take away.
Oh, I did not know about that.
Yes. And I didn't know either, but I like if you go on YouTube and watch this final scene, the comments are just people basically torn apart with depression based on like how he finally figured out the answer to Brok's riddle because of Sindri's pain.
Oh my gosh.
Right?
Full circle.
Full circle.
That's crazy. I didn't even know that. Yeah, I just thought it was like, I don't know, is it like hinting that like he's just gonna get like mad? Like I don't know.
So I want to talk about Sindri again as well. He's still not forgiving us for what happened.
Yeah.
Do you think again, you can't really deal with people's emotions and how they feel about something, but do you think that's fair how Sindri is still reacting to this death as if it is our fault?
I don't know if he thinks it's our fault.
I think he does. You don't think so?
I don't think so, because I feel like if he thought it was our fault, he would still be trying to. And I know he doesn't want anything to do with us right now, but he wouldn't even, I don't think he would have been around to, well, I guess everything he did was just to help himself get revenge.
Like my thought is maybe he feels bad about what he has done, but also in conjunction of what we did. So we're at fault, but he is also still at fault.
I feel like, yes, he definitely is feeling that guilt of like he took his, like the last parts of him. Like he can't even rest in peace. I think that is the biggest thing for Sindri right now. And that's why I don't think he's necessarily, he still may be upset from the fact that Atreus and Kratos played a role because they were just deepening this journey. But I think he's past that and he's actually taking it out on himself, which is the scariest thing, right? Because I think when you've seen in this game, when you have these characters that are taking it out on themselves, that's when they start to get desperate. And that's usually when they do stuff that's uncharacteristic. So I'm kind of curious what that would look like for Sindri.
Whatever it was, just a sad, sad ending at the end, but also it gave me closure. So I even though I felt that this was a sad ending, I kind of felt not relieved, but again, everything that has happened so far, like I've been wanting more. But after seeing that scene, I was kind of happy with the ending, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I could see that. Like I think there's a little bit. I think now that we know, even though Brok cannot rest in peace, but like having that send off, I think for us as the players gives us that resolution that we were looking for, and having Sindri appear just that one more time. But I am still curious to know where this grief will lead Sindri, if he will be able to bounce back from it, because we know in Norse mythology he is pretty much like the king of all the dwarves. Right?
Yeah.
So, and he's very powerful, right? He's fought with Thor. So I wonder if it's like, this is kind of his journey to get to that point where he becomes this king for his people.
Well, maybe we'll never find out, or maybe we will. Santa Monica, come on, let's get it done. But what a roller coaster of emotions. Gives us a little closure, like I said. But these are the main story endings here throughout. There are still a few ones like Skilder. You can talk to him. You can also see Baldur's Frozen Dragon that Freya talks about. There's little nods here and there, which I really like, that this game never truly ends if you find something. Freya and Kratos and Mimir will find a way to talk about it. So it's always something cool to discover something new. But after the break, we talk about one more secret ending that we haven't discussed yet. And then we break down just how we feel about everything that happened here on AutoSave.
What is it?
Mementos from Atreus' journey.
What will you do with it?
Add it to our own. His story is ours, and ours is his.
Too right, brother.
So it's a small little 30-second cutscene, but it feels good. If you travel back to your home in Midgard, you see that Atreus left his journal, the one that we've been using throughout this game, and Kratos is going to fill out the rest of the pages. As he says, the journal is his and ours as well, something along those lines, just that the journal is all of ours and that we fill it out together, which I thought was a very touching moment, and it's a fitting end to the saga between father and son, but we know that it will continue regardless of them going their separate ways.
Yeah, and it's sad.
Yeah,
it's sad. I don't want it to end, and it's like we've seen these actually a lot. Like, I feel like I was referring, this is the journal from the first God of War.
Yes.
Where you had Atreus drawing these like funny like drawings of Kratos and him and stuff like that. It was very cute, right? So it really makes you go back to those moments of like first seeing Atreus and like having this kid, this annoying kid around, to now not having him there, and like how much he is a part of Kratos's journey, and that bond that they share is still not over. It's a cute ending, but it is sad. It did get me a little bit in the feels.
And you kind of see this journey of, Kratos not wanting to let go. We saw in Alfheim when we did those side quests, and he's saying he's just trying to stall so that he can spend more time with Atreus.
Yeah.
And he knows it was coming to an end, and it does. And he's not too particularly sad about it. He understands that his son needs to do his own thing, but it's just nice to have this little bonding connection between the two through the journal.
Yeah.
Which I think is a great way to end our entire saga here with God of War Ragnarok. Cam, before we go, I want to talk about what's next for the franchise. We've talked about potentially seeing some DLC. The actor playing Tyr talking about that it's not the last time we'll see Tyr. What the hell does that mean? What do you think is next for Kratos? I know that Santa Monica have spent years and years and years building this game. They didn't want to create a third one. They wanted to wrap up this story because they didn't want to spend, they said, 12 years on 3 games. So what does this mean, though? Are they done with the franchise? Will another company build up God of War? Will we see Kratos in another land? Will we see more Norse mythology? What are your thoughts?
Well, I feel like when God of War 2018 came out, a lot of the developers, and Cory Balrog, who was like the man behind the first God of War, he was talking about the drive to explore other mythologies. And I think that's where they're going to go. I don't think this is the last time we've seen Kratos. I think we may see Kratos without Atreus. I feel like we are not going to be saying goodbye to him just yet. I think specifically for Norse mythology, we will be getting DLCs. I just think how this game set it up, like when you compare it to 2018, the ending was like set up on a perfect cliffhanger, but there was not much more that you needed to do in that game to kind of get any like resolution from any other characters, right? You were happy with that. We were talking about the fact that this ending, even though it was great, we wanted that little like bang, this is the ending. And
Yeah.
it didn't do that purposely because it was setting us up for these secret endings, right? After the credits rolled. And it's quite a bit you have to play through as well to get this, right? And I believe they did that because they're like, don't worry, you're going to play through some more after these secret endings in some DLCs. At least in Atreus DLC. Because that's pretty big. Like what happens after. But then again, I could see them not having to explain that because it's kind of like we would think Atreus would succeed in restoring all the giants or some of the giants. And we kind of get a great ending with Angrboda, right? And understanding those two and their relationship. So I don't know. I don't know if the DLC is necessary now. Like, now I'm double guessing my thoughts.
That's why I can't see a DLC happening, because there's so many secret endings and they try to tie up as many loose ends as they can, regardless of if you think it's fulfilling or not. They still do it. So that's my only thought.
But to that, if Ben Pendergast is not trolling the internet and this is not the last time we're going to see Tyr, where would we see Tyr again? He's specific to he's the god of war in Norse mythology. We know they're done with Norse mythology. Where would we see him again?
I have no idea. I can't answer that. I do want to touch on, what Kratos' next adventure is that you talked about. For me, I just can't see it. I feel like he is one. I mean, he's had games since PS2 era, but two is they built this entire arc around him, being this destroyer. And then he managed to become a rebuilder and he managed to become more peaceful. And he only, attacked when necessary. And he really did a full circle on who his character was. I feel bad if they go to Egypt or something like that and he finds his way somewhere else, because I don't know what story they can tell, because I feel like his story has come to an end. He had his redemption arc. And if they go further into it, I don't know what more they can explore without tarnishing the name of Kratos now at this point. Does that make sense?
Tarnishing?
No,
I never tarnish.
I know you can, but I just meant in terms of who his character is now.
You do bring up a really good point. He's like old man Kratos right now, right?
Yeah.
Like he has come full circle in his journey. He knows the meaning of his purpose, and he knows why he's here, and that is for his son Atreus, and he's come to terms with that, comes to terms with the loss that he's had. He's really built himself up from being this destructive god of war, the ghost of Sparta.
Yes.
But I don't know. I feel like it's all about the money, baby. And Kratos brings the money.
Yes.
He does. He's such an iconic character. I don't know if we will see him in a main storyline again, but I could definitely see us getting cameos of Kratos.
Yes.
In whatever form of God of War franchise that comes out in the future. I just hope if we do explore another God of War game, it will be going to Egypt.
That's what everyone talks about. And you know what? That I think would make a lot of sense. But that ends our journey into God of War Ragnarok. I can say, honestly, one of the best games I think we've played on this podcast. I had an absolute blast. I'm sure you did as well, Cam.
I had an absolute blast as well.
Yes. As for us, can't wait to see what we have in store for you over the next few games that we are going to play. Let's see if we're going to have some of Cam's favorite games. Let's see if we're going to have some of my favorite games. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. What the hell are we going to play? I don't know, but you're going to have to wait and see next time on
AutoSave.
AutoSave is produced and hosted by Camille Salazar Hadaway and myself, Nick Andrade. The show is also produced by Dylan Wilson. Gameplay and additional elements provided by Chris Seitzer. Technical production by Greg Fillion. Executive producer, Clayton Hansler. You can follow the show at AutoSave Podcast on Twitter and AutoSave Pod on Instagram, YouTube, and Twitch. You can subscribe to the show wherever you're listening to it right now, and if it happens to be Apple Podcasts, kindly leave us a rating and review, but only if it's good. AutoSave is a Soda original hosted on the Soda Podcast Network.